تخشون أحدا إلا الله وكفى بالله حسيبا.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. Verily all praise is due to Allah, whom we seek His help and forgiveness. We seek refuge with Allah from the evils that we conceal and from the consequences of our evil deeds. Whosoever Allah grants guidance, none can misguide, and whosoever chooses misguidance, none can guide. وَأَشْهَدُ أَنْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ وَحْدَهُ لَا شَرِيكَ لَهُ. And I attest that there is no God worthy of worship except Allah, who has no partners. وَأَشْهَدُ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا عَبْدُهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. And I attest that Muhammad is the final messenger of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Welcome to the Da'wah workshop, my dear viewers. In this episode, we're going to talk about taking care of new Muslims, which is of vital importance in Da'wah, because we see that many people focus only on these shahadas. They try to get people to come to Islam. They say La ilaha illallah. After they say La ilaha illallah, they don't know anything about them. They didn't take their numbers. They didn't contact them. They didn't follow to you, the guest speakers who are with us, so that we could talk more about new Muslims and following up with them. Assalamu alaikum. So to start off from the right side, because the Quran always says good things about starting with the right, Ashabul Yameen. Ashabul Yameen, the people of the right. And who are the people of the right? So from the right side, your name and how important is following up with new Muslims?
Alhamdulillah. My name is Muhammad Farouk. أصلي وأسلم على النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Peace and blessing be upon him. Following, for me myself, I practiced da'wah before.
Okay, so I just received the call. We have Sheikh Yusha Evans with us on phone, who we are going to talk about new Muslims and advice to the da'is in regards to new Muslims. Sheikh Yusha, I believe you are with us. Could you hear me?
Yes, Akhi, I can hear you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah, all is well, Akhi.
Alhamdulillah, we're pleased to have you with us, and we ask Allah to benefit the ummah through you. MashaAllah, your efforts are great. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us all to benefit. In this episode of the Da'wah Workshop program, we are talking about following up with the new Muslims and taking care of them. So what advice could you give to us in regards to that for the new da'is?
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. With that, for the programs that I myself am involved in, or that I have helped to initiate or to continue to train, there is a system that I have implemented that has worked very well, and I've also recommended others to implement it. And I've called it the Ansar system, based on the way the Prophet ﷺ dealt with the Muslims who were migrating from from Mecca to Medina when they made Hijrah, was he would pair one person with another. I like to take a list of people who are active in the community, people who have been trained on new Muslim issues, such as learning how to pray, learning about Tawheed, learning about Tahara and things of this nature, and I like to have them on a list so that when new Muslims enter into Islam, what we do is we pair them with one of the brothers, or if it is a sister who enters Islam, we pair them with one of the sisters who has been trained and is capable in this respect, so that this person becomes responsible for the new Muslim in learning to, or in training them to learn how to pray, learn how to purify themselves, learning the basics of Tawheed, making sure that they have.
This is actually a good point that you mentioned, that you pair the brothers with the brothers and the sisters with the sisters. Do some cases happen where you pair a brother with a sister to follow up, like a new Muslim female just came to Islam? Would you pair a male to follow up with her if a female is not available?
It depends, Akhi. It's an area, a gray area where fitna can be created. So it's more feasible to have brothers with brothers and sisters with sisters, especially when dealing with, because you're dealing with a new Muslim who does not know any of the standards of Islam, does not know any of the standards of proper etiquette in Islam and the things of that nature. So it is much wiser to pair them up in pairs of equal gender. But, you know, if there were that rare case scenario where there were a sister into Islam, there's no sister who can teach her anything, then of course we're not going to abandon her. But this would be a case where I would only have her dealing with maybe a brother who is well experienced in this regard, who can help along with this, or even a brother who might be married, whose wife can help out in the process, if that makes any sense.
I see. Barakallahu feek. So let's assume that somebody just came to Islam. What advice would you give the da'i? So he just got this non-Muslim to convert to Islam, and he's still with this non-Muslim standing in front of him. What advice would you give to him? What do you want him to say to the new Muslim?
The first thing you want to, I would give the advice to the Muslim is to be gentle, patient, and slow. Because people who are leaving from Jahiliyyah into Islam, they should not be expected to practice Islam fully in one day. This is not logical, nor is it the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, nor is it the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala trained the first Muslims. Islam was revealed in a period of 23 years. And even for the first 13 years, there was no halal and haram, there was no do this, don't do this. It was an attachment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through tawheed that allowed these things to be implemented into the Muslim's life. So I would tell him to be slow. And my advice to the new Muslim would be to tell him about tawheed, to gain him a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first, which is the core to implementing Islam, is to have that foundation of tawheed, to understand who Allah is, and then focus on the very first aspect of Islam, which is the salat, which is the attachment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for them. I would say don't move past any of this until these things are gained, because this was the way the Prophet ﷺ told Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu when he sent them to Yemen. He said, look, the first thing you call them to be tawheed. And then once they have accepted that, then tell them about salah. And once they have accepted that and begin to implement it, then tell them about zakat. So it's a step-by-step process.
I see. That's actually a good point you have mentioned, Sheikh Yusha, and because we're coming to the end of this segment of the episode. So what we want to do is have there is a question, an interesting question that does trigger the minds of the da'is when they are conveying the message to the new Muslim after they take their shahada and all that. I mean, convincing them that there is one God is easy. He took his shahada and all that. But once you tell him that he has to pray 5 times a day, he kind of backs off and tries to run away from you. So, I mean, what would be the best way for us to approach the new Muslim in regards to his 5 daily prayers?
Yeah, when it comes to this, unfortunately, there's a big issue, not only with the salah, but with many things. When new Muslims enter into Islam, unfortunately, we automatically become the haram and halal police on them. And this unfortunately deters a lot of new Muslims from Islam because they have no faith in their hearts yet to even cause them to want to do these things. So my regards would be that the first thing is that you start to teach them the connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through tawheed and understanding rububiyyah for them. That the reason why you exist, the reason why you even come to this conclusion is that because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guided you, He has favored you, He has given you a great ni'mah, a great blessing, through giving you guidance. And therefore the only things that He's asking you in return are to do a few small simple things. And even one of them is to give Him worship, to get this new Muslim to first understand the concept of salah and the concept of worship, not just the constraints of it, not just the rules and the regulations of it, but the entire reason why we do it. You understand what I'm saying?
I see, I see. Great. Okay. These are good points that you did share with us. And inshallah, I mean, we have some guests with us who are going to benefit. And the viewers who are watching us on Huda TV are also going to benefit from this piece of advice that you have shared with us, Sheikh Yusha. To sum this up, what is one last thing you want to say to the da'i in regards to following up with new Muslims or taking care of them?
The first thing we have to realize is that my final point I want to leave with the du'at that are listening, whether they're in the studio, whether they're at home, is that this is a responsibility. These people, when they enter into Islam, they become part of our family. They become part of a family of Muslims, and we need to have a genuine care and concern for them. We're not doing it just because it's an obligation, even though it is. We're not doing it just because it's something that's going to bring us good deeds, but yes, it is. We do it out of following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, wherein he showed genuine care and concern for other human beings, and he showed genuine care and concern for those who are leaving Jahiliyyah, who are leaving a life of ignorance, to coming to the truth of Islam. We have love and compassion and mercy and care for them, and that needs to show in our actions, because if it is just a dry repetition, then that will be felt by the person who you're dealing with. But when you have that genuine care and concern for that human being, that is a heartfelt sentiment that will reach that person and be more beneficial, inshallah.
MashaAllah. Sheikh Yusha, you really touched my heart. Barakallahu feek. I think I'm going to be one of the first ones to implement your advice. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to continue to bestow His blessings upon you and to increase you in knowledge and faith, and to allow you and to help you serve Islam in the best way as you are. Barakallahu feek. And we are very pleased to have you with us. Jazakallahu khairan for being with us, and hope to hear from you soon, inshallah. We'll be taking a break, and we'll be back after the break with another guest, and that is Sheikh Asim al-Hakim, and we will talk more about following up with the new Muslims, inshallah. See you after the break. Don't go anywhere. Wassalamu alaikum. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalam ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to one of the last episodes of the Da'wah workshop. In this episode, we are talking about following up with the new Muslims, taking care of them, being there for them, helping them, supporting them. It's an issue that needs to be talked about, and it needs to be implemented as well. Not only talked about, but we need to take actions. Before the break, we had Brother Yusha Evans, and he gave us some advice about the new Muslims and following up with them, and he gave advice to the da'is. And inshallah, we have Sheikh Asim al-Hakim with us right now. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you doing, Sheikh Asim?
I'm fine. How are you, Abu?
Alhamdulillah. I would like to welcome you to the program, the Da'wah workshop. And this is one of the last episodes of our program, and we're talking about following up with the new Muslims, and we're just trying to build a structure of da'is who are well developed in regards to doing the da'wah before and after. So we want to hear from you a piece of advice for the da'is, because we have some new da'is with us in the studio, and we have people watching this on Huda TV. So we want to hear some advice from you for the da'is, mainly on focusing on the new Muslims, and advice in general as well. Barakallahu feek.
Okay, bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalam ala rasulillahi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa man ihtada bi hudahu amma ba'd. If you're asking about the da'i himself, definitely we have to work really hard on preparing a da'i, because he is the heir of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As in the hadith, that the prophets, when they died, they did not leave any wealth behind, dirham or dinar. But what they had left behind was this knowledge. So the scholars, and da'is are students of knowledge, of course. They will not call people without knowledge. So they have to be students of knowledge. They have to be scholars. They are the heirs of the prophets. So the first thing you have to focus on is, when you're preparing a da'i, is the intention. And I get a lot of the people coming up to me and saying, Sheikh, we would like to become a da'i. This is our ambition in life. And I keep telling them, Akhi, why do you want to become a da'i? Is it to be a celebrity? Is it to be well known? Is it so that people would look up to you? All of this is a breach of sincerity. And definitely you have to work hard on your sincerity. Because the main objective of a da'i is to please Allah Azza wa Jal. So if he has this objective and he's working hard to achieve it, he will become a da'i whether he likes it or not. Secondly, he has to work hard on himself. We see a lot of the brothers and sisters giving da'wah, mashallah, they're very effective, they're very active, but when it comes to their own relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal, it is quite weak and negligible. So a proper da'i who does not pray night prayer, who does not fast voluntary fasting, Mondays, Thursdays, white days, etc., who does not give in charity, who does not pray in the masjid, the 5 prayers a day, there is a big problem in his da'wah. Because this is not the right way of doing it. You have to do it for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. And the first one to give da'wah to is your own self. Thirdly, he has to work hard on his Islamic knowledge. In some areas, I've seen brothers giving da'wah, and they have zero knowledge in aqidah. What will you call people to? To grow their beards and shorten their thobes? These are sunnah. These are recommended sunnahs. But this is not what the Prophet was sent with, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The first thing he was sent with is to call people to Allah. So if you don't have and do not possess the knowledge of Allah Azza wa Jal, of Tawheed, of Aqidah, of His beautiful names and attributes, what will you be calling the people to? And this is a very important thing, to fix and to amend your own Aqidah through learning it properly from the scholars and from the authentic books of religion. When we establish these fundamentals, then everything accordingly would follow, such as your communication skills, such as fixing your own shortcomings, being brave, being generous, being kind to people, being a role model. You have to work on being a role model, not only when you appear on TV like we do, or when we appear in the masjid or in a class, or even in your own home, with your wife, with your children, with your neighbors, at work. Everyone has to give you a 360 degrees A+ rating. Those who are your subordinate, and those who are your superiors, and those who are your peers. They have to evaluate you as such, because this is the perfect da'i. So this is the part of the da'i. What else do you want me to speak about?
Jazakallah khair for that eloquent answer. And I think that the brothers, mashallah, grasped good enough knowledge from you, how you summed everything up and put it perfectly. What we are going to talk about right now is the new Muslim. So he just invited somebody to Islam, he got the Shahada, the new Muslim said, La ilaha illallah. So now what should the da'i do with the new Muslim?
Okay. Akhi, if I may intrude in a sense, and just, I don't know if you have tackled this point or not, but I believe that it is an essential point. Not every single one of us can be a da'i in the sense that he can prepare a lecture, or he can be an excellent orator, or he can write a book. Not everyone is qualified to do this. A small percentage of people can do this. But I believe you shared with me that without the driver who brought you from Cairo airport to the studio, you wouldn't have been able to give this program. So the driver who brought you to the studio, if he had the right intention of seeking ajr, of seeking reward and giving da'wah to the people, wallahi, he is sharing with you the reward of da'wah. Therefore, when we talk about da'wah, we don't talk about a person sending a message and a recipient. We talk about the whole 9 yards. So we talk about the da'i, we talk about the new Muslim, and we talk about the support services team, which means that a da'i can give a da'wah, can open the heart of a new Muslim with the grace of Allah, with the keys that Allah entrusted him with, but he cannot do the whole work. So there has to be another team that may not be as eloquent in speech as the da'i, may not be excellent in communication skills as the da'i, but they are good in everything else. So they have the time, they have the ability to take the new Muslim, show him around, be with him 24/7, teach him the basics of the Islamic etiquette that they know of. They may not know the evidence that backs it up from the Quran and the Sunnah, but they definitely know that eating with your right hand is the Sunnah, left hand is not. I don't know why, but this is what we are told to do. We have to go and pray. Come with us. We want to go and play a football match. Would you like to join us? So they create the Islamic environment that would substitute this new Muslim from the vacuum that he has created to himself by accepting Islam. Now, his friends, his relatives, everyone he used to hang out with and love, maybe they are taking a negative position because he embraced Islam. So we have to give him the substitute. And this may not be the work of a da'i, per se, the one who gives lectures and beautiful sermons, but it is the work of the second da'i who is capable of socializing with these Muslims, tolerating their impatience, and teaching them in a beautiful and nice manner. And this, in my opinion, is much more important than the role of the da'i. Because we have seen it through the past 20, 30 years. We give da'wah, people accept Islam. We leave them. And a couple of weeks later, they go back and reject Islam, except those whom Allah has mercy upon them. Why? He said, nobody followed up with me. And I was, left alone, and I did not know what to do. I felt lonely, and all of a sudden I had a one-night stand, and that's it. Went back to square one. Mm-hmm. So those who devote themselves to such work, wallahi, they are doing, in my opinion, much greater work than what a da'i does.
Barakallahu feek, Shaykhana al-Fadil. May Allah preserve you and bless us with more of your knowledge, inshallah, in the future. This segment is coming to an end. So we thank you for joining us. And that is Shaykh Asim al-Hakim, who gave us some very eloquent advice in regards to the da'is and the new Muslims. Sadly, this episode is coming to an end, but we do have one final episode, and that is the conclusion, inshallah. So to sum this up, we were talking about following up with the new Muslims and advice to the da'is in general, and we want to make sure that from now on we focus on the new Muslim. After we get him to take the shahada, we exchange numbers, we call him every once in a while, we stay in touch with him, just as Shaykh Asim al-Hakim said, because if we don't, then we're going to have to start from scratch one again. This person may leave the fold of Islam, and we don't want that to happen. So inshallah, let's try to promise ourselves from now on that we're going to take a different approach with our da'wah, and we're going to try to focus more on these new Muslims, so that the responsibility, so that we could give the responsibility its due right, and that we could give the new Muslim his value as well, and let him feel the brotherhood of him entering Islam. He has new brothers, and we want to make sure we hook him up with the right people and stay in touch with him, give him some phone calls, solve some of his problems and be there with him, inshallah. So that's it for this episode, and inshallah we're looking forward to having you in the next episode. So please, dear viewers, stay tuned for the last episode of the Da'wah workshop. We'd like to thank our guests in this episode, and we'd like to say Jazakumullah khair to Brother Yusha Evans and to Sheikh Asim Al-Hakim. Barakallahu feekum wa Jazakumullahu khairan wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
الذين يبلغون رسالات الله ويخشونه ولا يخشون أحدا إلا الله وكفى بالله حسيبا ما